I set my alarm for 4:10 a.m. to get up to join you to chat absolute nonsense.
The jump between the champ, or WSL 2, and the WSL is extreme. They're really trying to match that up now. So will they be able to be strong enough to knock out a WSL team?
If teams can't invest and aren't willing to invest, they have to be removed from the championship.
Don't let your club have a women's team to tick a box to pay it lip service. Like, if you have the women's team, it's because you want it. But when you look at the Women's World Sevens, it was fun. It's the one thing what football should be about, which no longer exists really anymore. Let's talk about your club, then Arsenal. And I was like, Lucy, man,
you were doubting the whole time.
Whatever you're on the moon, because it ain't happening.
Everyone here is chanting these players' names. Every player has their own chant.
I won't be shocked if we see a Bon Mati. I won't be shocked.
Can we manifest that? Because
manifest
honestly,
away.
yeah.
You manifested the Champions League win, and I thought you were off your marbles. So
I wish I had more knowledge of being in that situation, of how to deal with certain things.
When I went out there in 2014, I found my voice and I learned to be able to say that I was a teenage mum.
There's such a rise in mental health issues at the moment. I do a lot with eating disorder campaigns, and you meet a lot of the young people there, and they need somewhere to be able to talk, to be able to express themselves.
hello, how are you? And welcome back to the Kickback. My name's Shebahn, Aherne, joined virtually by my evil twin sister, professional football player, Ruesha. Littlejohn is in the house. Coming up for you on today's show, the WSL is expanding to 14 teams to help grow the league. What do you think about the changes that will come in from next season? Plus, we'll dig into the secret to Arsenal's WSL crowd success. Everyone needs a bit of that. And the host of new podcast, Unmuted, launched in partnership with a UN charity, Girl Up, will be here to discuss empowering the next generation of female leaders. Busy show on the way. Always good to get your interaction. Like and subscribe, get in the comments, and we will get underway with Ruesha. Stateside today, you're in Florida. How's it all going?
Good morning. All is well. Cass, it's an early start here for me.
Tell everyone what time you set your alarm for.
I set my alarm for 4:10 a.m. to get up to join you to chat absolute nonsense. I've still got my retainers in, not taking them out.
Because you forgot, or like, are you
I just
trying to
thought
talk
I'm not
through?
taking them out, so I'm going to go back into bed.
You're not that
So
bad,
yeah, I've
to
not
be fair.
brushed my
Like,
teeth for years.
usually I would be like a lot more fat mouth from that. I'd be like, trying to talk, whereas you're actually
Yeah, but
normal.
you are bogging, Cass. You are absolutely rancid rotten. I'm not on your level.
Wow, it's always good to speak to you. Thanks for being here. You look like a ghost. I thought you were meant to be in the sunshine.
So I've got your road stand. You know how that one you got for all your vlogging that you've never done?
Yeah.
So I've got that, and I've got the light on it. I'm actually going blind because the light's just shining in my eyes, but I'm just going to see through it, and hopefully this works out okay.
You had a bit of a weird moment, didn't you, last night? Because I woke up to a message this morning, and it turns out Ruesha found herself in a weird... So she always makes fun of her brother, right, for growing up being a lover of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And it turns out the company you keep also loves a bit of Buffy the Vampire Slayer as well. I think you should go back and watch the series.
I've never watched that series, and nor will I ever watch that series. Cass, you're miles off it.
But it's meant to be brilliant, like proper fandom Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Well, we're not doing that. But anyway, can you answer to the audience where and what child you've stole your top from this morning?
Oh, I'm sorry that I'm not wearing my Burberry hoodie that, must have cost an arm and a leg.
I've actually got nothing on underneath it. I just put this on because I thought, oh, what can I shove on me at this hour?
Yeah, we're broadcasting to millions, and you've thrown on a Burberry hoodie over your little terrible sports bra that you might be wearing under there. At least I've made an effort. M&S, everyone. Look, they're both on her. Let's talk about the WSL, shall we? Expanding to 14 teams, just like my waistline.
So I had a moment yesterday reading it, and And I had to read it a few times and I was going, when is that? When does that happen? I couldn't make sense of it. So it's not obvious. It's at the end of the season.
So the 2026 season, right?
Right, so we're in
26, 27 season. So next season,
is when it comes into play.
Yeah. So next summer, basically, effectively next summer.
So this league that starts. No. This league that starts.
So this one will go.
So that's really confusing.
This one will go on as normal
now.
Because you're in 2025, so it'll be the 2025-26 season. Is next year, right? Stay with me. Then next summer, the 2026 season will start. 2026 to 2027 is when the changes will happen.
Right, that's good. That's good. So there also will be the team relegated, and that goes into a playoff
with third in WSL 2.
Right.
Which how do you feel about? I mean, that's the one bit that if they have been relegated, they still get an opportunity to stay up. Like, will that get a bit hairy?
It goes to a playoff then, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's exciting. That is exciting. But yeah, I know what you're saying. You've been relegated, but then do you get a chance of still staying up? So it's a bit different. It is a bit weird in that respect. How do you feel about that one?
I kind of like it because I think the way the championship or the WSL 2 is going, from what I know already this summer and this window, is that the money's getting pumped into a lot of these clubs. Now the championship becoming fully professional. I'm hearing about reports of some of the wages that players have been offered in the championships. I'm like, these clubs are here to compete to go up. So that club that will finish in that relegated spot will get an opportunity to save their skin, but third in the championship might be even stronger to knock them down. So in a way, I like that they're trying to, like, you know what we say, as you always say, Rush, the jump between the champ or WSL 2 and the WSL is extreme. They're really trying to match that up now with the clubs in the championship when we're hearing of the numbers and the money and the investment that's going into some of these clubs. So will they be able to be strong enough to knock out a WSL team in a playoff? I mean, I actually think it could be incredible drama.
No, that's really exciting. It is really exciting. It takes it all the way down to the end of the season again. Yes, you might have the top two going up, but just having the likes of that playoff will be really exciting. And you're looking at some of the teams that are like actually really investing, and people are going, look, we want to be part of this journey and we want to be in the WSL. So it's good to see. It's exciting to see. But now I'm getting a wee bit like, I want it to start now.
I know.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see what's happening.
Yeah, it would have been quite cool if they just made an announcement. Like, it turns out Birmingham are going up as well. And, you know, the WSL expanded by another team this season, and then end of next season, another one. But I guess there's just too much paperwork.
I would have really liked to see that happen already. I guess like there has to be stuff in place, but I was just kind of thinking, let's just grow the league already. But again, it goes back to the argument where the teams at the top are going, we've got too much football, we've not got enough time off, and the rest of the teams are like, we don't have enough football. So we're putting one extra team in the league. Is that too much for teams right now? It's such a weird one and a hard one to get right. But no, I do think growth and growing the WSL is what has to happen now. Obviously, you have to have the teams that financially can do it and are ready and happy to be competing and prepared to put in and invest a lot of money into the league, because that's the way it's going. But even that, you're still talking about teams in the league that can't actually survive, that don't have the funds and the money to be putting in. You're even seeing in the championship right now, who is it that's just decided that they're leaving the league also?
Blackburn, isn't it?
Sorry?
Blackburn?
Yeah, like that's another team, and you're going, the levels between the leagues is still humongous, but I'm kind of in a place right now. If teams can't invest and aren't willing to invest, they have to be removed from the championship or the WSL, because these are the leagues we want to make happen. These are the leagues we want to make the big leagues. So if you're not on board and you're not willing, get out. But it's great now that you're seeing the space for the teams that want to be there, the teams that can be there. Yeah. So it's a good thing.
And I think, absolutely on your point, I agree. By the way, I'm like, don't let your club have a women's team to tick a box to pay it lip service. Like, if you have the women's team, it's because you want it, you want to invest in it, you want to give it the injection that it needs, you want to see it grow and flourish. don't have it there just to say, well, we've got a women's team, you know, because we will know now. We will find out if you're one of those clubs that doesn't really give it what it needs. You know, it's the same with kind of anything that's not given that love and support. It's not destined to succeed, is it? You know, so I agree with you. But what I will say is that you look at then, sadly, the number of players that will be affected by that. You know, so they've got the club, they feel that they've committed to the club, they're playing for the badge, they're doing their best week in, week out, probably got 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, and then that's taken away from them because the club has decided, well, actually, we can't meet these demands. But I do think that will be a short-term pain for a longer-term game in terms of the way the women's leagues are going.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. We obviously had a player there at Ireland, Tyler Toland, who's the Blackburn women's captain. Wow. And she's been affected by this. But now you just kind of want to see like players like that, they have to be supported. And if Blackburn aren't supporting them, let's be honest, I'm sure some of the girls behind the scenes have said that they've known for a while that they're not actually getting the support they need. So if that means they have to leave the league, then so be it. I'd rather that because you want teams there that will invest, and hopefully these girls will get another club and get another opportunity. What do you think of this? So I'm here in America right now, and it was the first year of the USL, women's football. It's not like a league under the NWSL, it's a whole separate league, okay?
A new entity.
But obviously this is an American thing, so they've played their league season, right? So 1 to 8 teams have played that, but now it gets to the end of the season. And if you finish first, second, third or fourth, you go into playing each other, so it's like a wee playoff and it goes to the final, to the championship. But the championship is bigger than the league. And to me, I'm like, it's so different, but it's like the championship is like a bigger occasion than actually winning the league. Would you like to see something like that, Cass, come into play?
Maybe.
Or are you like, no, holiday time?
I believe that the league is, it's your prized possession, right? And then it's the Champions League, then it's the FA Cup, and it's Cup. Like that's kind of the order of service. I feel that is how we value that in the pyramid system here anyway. I would feel that works, and I think it's difficult now for football to introduce new formats to introduce new competitions unless there's a switch in the format. And that's something I've really enjoyed about the World Sevens tournament, is that I'm looking forward to next season. The players enjoyed it. The teams got a bit of a cash injection, you know, for going and playing along. It wasn't too much on the body. It wasn't too much on the fans. It was all summer fun. So I think the World Sevens tournament was a benefit for the women, but I think incorporating another competition into this league wouldn't have the best effect, the best outcome, because the players would feel too stretched. Whereas I think changing a format, you know, could offer something that little bit different. We were just talking about it on talkSPORT Breakfast this morning with Gabby Agbonlahor and Troy Deeney. We're talking about the Club World Cup and how it's struggling to get the fans. So yesterday they changed the time to a 3 p.m. kickoff, and it was Chelsea men against LAFC, and we all know everyone's had a tiring season, and 22,000 fans were there in a stadium that's 70,000. Now, these stadiums are being trialled for the World Cup next year, so they're trying to kind of get through this process. There's like pros and cons for both of it. But either way, I don't feel the Club World Cup has captured really many people's imagination unless your team was there. Whereas what I feel could capture the imagination for a neutral is those players, you know, those Chelsea players, those Man City players, the PSG players, Real Madrid players, Ronaldo's team, in a different format. And that's something that I thought the women's game did so perfectly well on their own. They didn't follow any other format, any other tips that they'd got from the men. They did it that way, and it was a tournament that was a huge success. You know, whoever wins the Club World Cup for the men will scoop £100 million. So that is a success at the end of a tournament. But are the fans engaged? Not really, on the grand scheme of things. Are we entertained? No, not really. But when you look at the Women's World Sevens, the players had fun. It wasn't too much on the body. The demand wasn't extreme. Some players were allowed to be rested. And Rue, it was fun. It's the one thing that football should be about, which no longer exists really anymore. So I think there's there's maybe a concept there of what you're talking about, the American League, but maybe with those players who are superstars in their own right, but a different format. I'd like that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Although I do also think where I get for some teams it was different. So where the World Sevens came into play, the timing of the tournament right at the end of the season, some people liked it, some people didn't. It tied some people over to their international camp.
Yeah.
And some people didn't have it, or probably a bit like, right, I've switched off, I've checked out. Obviously not every player had to go, so that was down to the clubs. They obviously had that discussion with players. So you're like, that's good. However, I don't think what you're saying, it's demanding on the body. I spoke to a couple of players and they're like, it was very demanding. Like it was so intense because it's like a different format. So it's just like when you're on for them, that period of time you're on, although it was roll on, roll off subs. That's the beauty in it. So you don't have to, you can literally be like, I'm blowing, I'm jumping off.
Yeah.
Next person on.
15-minute halves as well. So a lot less, but like you say, still high intensity.
Yeah, but then I'm like, these tournaments are also good in a pre-season because they are so intense. It's a different kind of game. You're getting fitness from it. It's fun. There's a prize. Fun there to be won. But yeah, I like what you're saying, that you're talking about the guys' football there. I don't care about that. Like, there's not one bit of me that has watched any of that football because I'm just like, I feel sorry for them because of their calendar. Their calendar is ridiculous. What if they even had off? They're lucky if they even got like 2 weeks off. Can you imagine if that was me? How dare somebody give me 2 weeks off? I need longer than that. I need a good solid month to 6 weeks at least. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like they've not had any time, but yeah.
Would you do it though for 200 grand a week?
I mean, if you're getting that money, you suck it up a little bit, but I do still think, I know, but I do think that their calendar, the amount more injuries you're seeing within the men's game too, because they're really being stretched. They've got games all the time. There'll be a period in the season where they'll have 2 or 3 game weeks consistently. Like, that is ridiculous. I get they've got big squads and stuff like that, but even that, I just think it's a bit taxing. It's a bit too much demanding on the body, and when they're playing at the level and intensity that they play at, it's a bit much. But yeah, I've not watched any of that. I don't look at any of the scores. Do you know what I mean? You're rather waiting to see, right, when's the season kicking back? Like, when's it kick off? What's happening? You're not really interested in this, but obviously clubs have to be there because there's such a huge prize fund at stake.
Huge prize fund. I mean, we knew that the teams that took part in the women's sevens, you know, were, it was 6 million. I think 5 to 6 million was the winners. There was a couple of million for them taking part in it as well. You know, the jump is incredible kind of thing in terms of the money. I'm not saying that money should be the same. I'm not saying that at all. You know,
Sheb, sorry, just to cut in there, do you know that the money that they got, well, I know one of the teams, they were like just splitting it with the people that went. So the staff and the players that went, the prize was getting split that way. That's quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's incentive to want to go. Or you could look and say, no, I'm going to value my time, my break here. You know, to be fair, looking at the England squad going into St George's Park the other day, I was like Beth, you know, won the Champions League, went to the Arsenal parade the next day, went into camp for the Nations League games, had a week on her holiday. I think a week, just from what I could see from Instagram, looks like she was away for a week or 5 days, and then straight into that Euro squad for preparation for the 2nd of July for when it all kicks off, 5th of July for the England girls. And I looked at that team and the England set up and I was like, they've barely had a minute to fart. You know, that is a lot. Do you want to be seeing that much on them? You know, we're hearing for them like some Viviana Miedema, she's going against the demand, you know, the amount that's been called on women for women's football, the amount of new tournaments that have been introduced for the calendar. They're looking to expand. They want to do a Women's Club World Cup as well, don't they? They're looking for all of that, you know, but all of this is money driven. So I appreciate people who are coming out and saying, no, actually it's too much. I'm going to do what's right for me in these moments. But then also, like the team that had won in the women's sevens to go and dish out that money. It's a big sum of money for these women and for these staff members. Huge sums of money.
Yeah,
nice bonus.
I think when it's like that, do you then go, oh, do you try and turn a blind eye and go, well, I'm getting this? But some players that are at the top that are getting really good salaries anyway, they might be going, no, like, I don't need to be doing that.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one. It's a tough one to get right. But even that, talking about the Lionesses going into camp, I get they're into camp early because it's another major tournament, and they'll be wanting to be in, and I'm sure they'll get right now. They'll probably get their weekends off. It's, I think, how they normally do it. But could they have possibly had maybe another week just to recharge? Let's face it, they probably got a week off.
It was a week,
and then they'll be doing their kind of reintroductory stage back to, they won't have lost any fitness, they'll just had a wee respite. They'll be training, they'll be starting back training, but could they have had another week off and then started doing that themselves? I don't know. Obviously, I'm sure Serena Wiegman and their staff have spoke to their leadership group and they've maybe seen fit they head in early and just, they'll get time off at the end of the Euros. That's the only thing. These players might get 2 weeks off the back of the Euros whenever they exit the tournament. So they will get another little break and it'll be a quick turnaround.
Well, imagine they'd been away with us for a wee week. Cassim and Positano, lashed up and whispering angel, they'd be tumbling back into St George's Park.
They'd be absolutely fine because we'd keep them fit because we'd be marching them up and down the steps, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
get your steps in, run up these stairs.
Come on, get your heart rate up, off your pop.
Up you get a wee glass of rosé at the top.
Well, speaking of heart rates, time for you to go and rest yours. Get back to your bed. Thanks for popping on with us. And, well, I guess see you soon. Like, WhatsApp me or something.
Do you know, I'll text you, Cass. I'll send you some pictures of what I'm up to. How good I look in a bikini right now.
Yeah, cool. Well,
right.
We'll share them. I'm sure we will. All right, love you. See you soon. Bye, Rue. Oh, always nice to see her. Insightful as ever. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment for Rue. Coming up for you in the show, as Arsenal announced that the women's team will play all of their WSL games at the Emirates next season, we'll take a look at why their attendants are the envy of women's football. And Arsenal fan Lucy Casey is with us to discuss. Hello, superstar.
Hey, girl.
How are you?
I'm good.
You have got a number of exciting things going on at the minute. Firstly, tell us about your graduation from University of Life, aka Google Pixel Academy.
Oh, wow. Where do we even start? Like, that was a crazy experience. I mean, I feel like every day I'd come into work and I was like, oh, we've just done this. I've met some Arsenal players. Like, it was cool. It was pretty much everything in the industry. So then when I'm sat in chairs like this, spaces like this, I'm like, oh, okay, I sort of roughly know what to do. But it's the thing for me that I think I emphasised a lot with basically every post I made, everyone I was talking to is literally the girlhood. Like, I think I mentioned that to you, like one of the mornings. I was like, I love that girlhood because it's quite rare to find in this industry, sadly. So yeah, that's nice.
These people who you met along the way, all of you who went through this kind of journey and experience together.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you learned and what the beauty of this project was.
I think we all 12, because there was 12 participants, I think all 12 of us found who we were, or we're closer to finding. Like, I feel like I know roughly what I want to go into in the industry now, and it's pretty much open. Like, I think we went behind the scenes at ITV, BBC, then we were in front of the cameras at 90 Min. We did a bit of everything. And it was nice to see, in particular, a couple of the girls who started off, they're like, I don't want to do presenting, I don't want to be in front of the camera. Yeah. And towards the end, they were like, right, give me the mic, like I'm going forwards. And it's just nice to see that growth. So
that confidence that it gives you as well. And you worked with like Karen Carney on this journey as well, and the Kimita twins. Like, there was it seemed like a good squad, man. I wish I got the invite to the University of Google.
Should have +1'd you.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. Well, I'm hoping it's a future cohorts will happen as well, like future programmes, because Molly and Rose, what they've created with the Powerhouse Project it's just something that everyone needs, especially every girl getting into the industry. I think because they've been players, they've been coaches, have done media presenting, they've done it all, so they know what you need and the gaps. So what they've created is so good, and I'm hoping there'll be future programmes.
And their point is to make sure that others are educated should they want to go down this path and go into this space. And it's something that you don't often learn too much about. I mean, the amount of people, you'll get this as well, who reach out, say on social media, looking for that guidance and for that advice. But one thing I always go back to them and say is, well, if you want to do this, you can start now. You know, but I think then being around people who give you that confidence, you all start doing it together. Therefore, I don't know, it's a bit more enjoyable and less, sometimes I would say, embarrassment when there's a group of people doing it together.
I think the embarrassment definitely comes from social media. Like, I don't know if you were the same, but like, as in, for me, when I set up Instagram, I suddenly was like, oh, okay, like, people are going to comment, people are going to see, people that your friends are seeing this, and then it's like, oh, actually, I'm not going to like this, but I'll just say in person, like, that's cool. And it's you find out your people real quick, and you find out what you like doing as well, very quick as well. So it's quite nice to navigate in that way. But for me, I was at uni, I was like, you know what, let me just make the jump. Let me just post a video. And I think it was something like when Declan Rice was signing for Arsenal a couple of years ago, and I was like, yeah, let me just post it and I'll see. And then slowly over time, I found more of an authentic voice, because you sort of copy these other influencers and then you slowly figure out, okay, I want to talk about this, or I want to talk like that. So
good for you.
Good. Yeah,
I love that.
cool.
And you know, you're a good person. You know, I get to see you in the mornings, and we always call it therapy, don't we? And it is like proper. It's early, man. It's 3:45 that we have therapy. So yeah, no, that is I'm pleased for you, and I'm pleased that you've been part of the programme, and everyone that you've met along the way. I think it'll just make the industry a better place to be for everyone. Let's talk about your club then, Arsenal, because we were chatting quite a bit going up to the final, and I was like, Lucy, man,
you were doubting the whole time.
Whatever you're on the moon, because it ain't happening.
I was so positive, but no.
Apart from the week before, then I changed my mind.
You were like, oh, actually, and I was like, no, let's not backtrack now.
Maybe.
I think there was just something in it. I was like, no, like I had a gut feeling every morning. I was like, actually, we might do this. Like, should I buy tickets? Should I not? Left it a bit late, and they were quite expensive when
That's fine.
When I got around to wanting to do that. But I was like, oh, we actually might do this. So,
how do you think it's going to affect now the Arsenal team going forward, and another positive step for them? I mean, the attendance is 415,000 tickets sold at the Emirates last year for the Arsenal women's games that were there in the league, the 9 games that took place. It's now going to be the 11 home games that take place at the Emirates. It's another step, more eyes on the game, more youngsters coming through wanting to see these heroes.
yeah, I think the vibe, like at both the parade and I went to the Emirates for the final, it just felt like a family. Like, I know that sounds quite cringy, quite
it's
cliche.
It's cringy. Arsenal fans are cringy.
A little family. But no, it genuinely felt like that. And I think growing up, when I started watching Arsenal when I was 10, there was about, 50 people to 100 at Meadow Park. And you'd have them sort of spread out. Like, me and my dad would be up in this corner. You might have someone's parent of a player, like, just spread out. And then suddenly I was stood there. I had actual goosebumps. I'm quite an emotional person, got quite big emotions. And then I was just sat there like, oh, okay, this is actually happening. Everyone here is chanting these players' names. Every player has their own chant. I think that's one thing that makes Arsenal so unique. Like, you could literally, I don't know, say anyone's name and suddenly you've got a whole crowd of people singing and dancing. So I think it's about maintaining it now, because we've set those records the last few seasons. But because we're getting more and more games to the Emirates, we're able to maintain those crowds of people. Oh, you actually can come. If you live here, just pop in. Or if you support the men's team, just come over. Whereas Meadow Park is a bit limiting for Arsenal. Like, I haven't been able to go there recently because I think it's quite hard to get tickets.
Yeah.
Not too many, so.
I mean, that's the thing. I know Arsenal from Meadow Park. Like, being 17 maybe, going to my first Arsenal game was Meadow Park, and there was 10 others. You were able to count, you know, the amount of people who were there.
Yeah.
You know, on your two hands. It was like that. So where it grew from there, and I feel this is where the secret to Arsenal's success at the Emirates is the fact that they've just steadily built this fan base over time. They've given the players the love. They've been that club from the beginning, haven't they, that have really taken ownership and shone a light on their women's team. Therefore, the fans have come to support that as well. They're giving them a good team to support. And actually, I just want to take a minute now for those of you in the North Bank who will no longer be able to, you know, sing in the league games at home at Meadow Park. They're such a huge part as to where Arsenal fan base is today, you know, and I don't know who they are individually, but I always find myself there smiling, you know, thinking, no, they're just, you know, making
I feel like a big bunch of them definitely be part of the supporters club. And that's obviously what Farah runs, and she's done an amazing job. Like, the work she does behind the scenes is crazy. Like, I'm lucky enough to be one of her friends, so it's just nice to see all the hard work and how it's actually paying off, because she was navigating, and obviously she's got a team behind her, navigating Lisbon as well as then the Emirates and then all the pubs as well, just making sure that everyone's included. And I think when you've got someone at the top that's doing that, and then there's songbooks as well that go around, and obviously that's what creates that atmosphere at the North Bank.
I met Farah at the Trophy Parade day, and she was telling me about her work in the Sports Trust, and I was like, it's people like that, you know, who,
honestly,
you know, the win means even more to, you know, absolutely everything too. And you could tell that from the emotions and the kind of person that you were speaking to there on the day. But what this means now for the Emirates moving forward is that just It's that chance to grow again, push again. And what we are seeing mostly from women's football and now from youngsters in the men's game as well, that you're following these individuals, you know, and with the amount of incredible individuals that are at Arsenal, not only a brilliant team, some of the individual players there, wherever they go, they would take an audience with them, you know.
So true.
The players that come to Arsenal now, this summer, are, I think, next level players. I won't be shocked if we see a Bon Mati. I won't be shocked.
Can we
if this
manifest
is
that?
happening.
Because
manifest
honestly,
away.
yeah.
You manifested the Champions League win, and I
Yeah.
thought you were off your marbles. So go for
well,
it.
yeah, Bonmati, no, please, just praying to anyone. Because honestly, I think this summer, what Arsenal did, is they really capitalised on the Euros, they capitalised on the FIFA World Cup
did.
with the players there, because I think there were so many players from different clubs, but you had Beth Mead, Leah Williamson for the Euros, and that drew a whole new crowd in. I know so many Arsenal fans that I was stood with at Lisbon, and I was like, oh, like, how long have you been supporting Arsenal for? It's just nice to find out their journeys, and most of them were saying since the Euros. And then I'm hoping this summer, we've obviously got Williamson, but we've also got some loaney players, like obviously Adjumang, I'm so excited about her journey. And she's obviously so young as well, so she could almost be the rotating player that changes the game, like how Ruesha did. And obviously we've got Ruesha. We've got so many players in there. Chloe Kelly, we're claiming her as ours right now. So like we've got a lot that I'm thinking if we can capitalise as a club on these players and really put it out there on social media and really get the crowds going, then we can maintain the attendance.
And you're right about that and capitalising from the World Cup as well. And Arsenal, I guess, were ahead of their journey for that.
Yeah.
You know, Steph Catley, who's been an absolute rock this season for Arsenal, to captain the Matildas on home soil for the Women's World Cup, you know, to be an Arsenal player brings in new audiences, brings in new eyes. Same with the number of Australian players who represent Arsenal. Same with McCabe, Republic of Ireland, you know,
Literally.
to be a player that takes your country to their first international tournament, also being an Arsenal player. You're right, they have, is that the secret? Is that the key to their success?
Yeah, the players, like what you were saying, people are now attracted to the players. They're now drawn to watching the games because of the players. You have people that support Manchester United, but then they're like, oh, actually, I like Ruesha, she's gone to Arsenal, let me change my club. Like, people are now supporting the players themselves rather than necessarily the whole club, because with the women's game, because it's maybe newer for certain teams, obviously like United, Spurs, you sort of have fans that maybe growing up they supported a different club because of their family, and then they're like, I want to support the women's team who looks good, like in terms of how they're playing, who's I don't know, who do I want to be? And you look and it's literally Arsenal everywhere.
See it, believe
could
it.
be biased, but
I think she's an Arsenal fan.
Maybe.
And also, it's not completely goodbye to Meadow Park because the Champions League group stage games will be played there as well. Which, to be fair, I don't think I'm ready to completely say goodbye to it. But when you do look at the Champions League numbers at the Emirates, they haven't matched what the league games have been then, say, on the weekend. So I think those Wednesday night games at Meadow Park, you know, I was at a number of them in the lead up to when they won Group C before Christmas. That was a proper atmosphere, you know, and I think that gave them the edge over Bayern in that last group stage game. Kind of thing was the fan base, the attendance behind them. A sold out Meadow Park is also a rocking atmosphere.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but I actually, like, my favourite stadium of all time is Meadow Park. I think maybe it's because when I was
The coldest place I've ever been.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got to wrap up warm, but when there's bodies in there, like, you get that little penguin heat. But I think maybe because when I was 10, that's where I actually fell in love with Arsenal. But also because the atmosphere isn't quite matched. Like, I don't think I've been to another stadium in the WSL and felt how you feel when you're in Meadow Park, because the voice is so loud. But that's why I'm hoping over time we can maintain that attendance, also grow it a little bit, so then we actually have like a sellout Emirates week on week. So give that a few seasons and hopefully we'll be there.
Do you know what? It's just because you'd mentioned Farah from the Supporters Trust as well. Somebody who I really want to mention today is Yannick Pippin, who works at Arsenal, who's part of the liaison staff. And I remember seeing him at the Emirates a few years ago now. It would have been the Wolfsburg game, the second leg on the bank holiday Monday.
Nice.
And it was huge. It was a huge night at the Emirates. Unfortunately, they did lose that game. And him and Jackie then saying, if we keep doing this, just imagine every game we will be having to put on these games at the Emirates. And it takes a team like that who believe and who make it happen as well. And they're unbelievably lovely and kind and friendly and do the absolute best at the club. You know, they front it in such an incredibly good way as well. People like that also getting the job done, fair play to them. So here we go then. next season, don't be bottling it in the league with me, Lucy. Don't be giving it, oh yeah, well, we've still got another 3 trophies to win. Like, what's happening in the league?
What's going to happen in the league? Well, I mean, we've got Chelsea against us, and obviously they've just done the treble, so they are big competitors. But I think when you look at it, last season, I'd rather have the European trophy over any other trophy. And now we've got this trophy, we might actually be able to push on and not get complacent. We've got Slagers from the start, and that's going to be so key, because last season there was so much rivalry, even within the own fan base of, oh, should he stay, should he not? And then there was obviously the writing like Jonas out, which I kind of liked how it was getting that passionate in the women's game. But also I was like, I don't want any hate to be directed just towards one person, but he rightfully went. And having Slagers from the get-go, I think we actually will be able to push it. I don't want to be delusional. You're looking at me and I'm like...
No, I'm listening. I'm all ears. No, listen.
Yeah, I mean, you were all ears for the Champions League, so, you know, you've got to be all ears for this, but I'm hoping.
Yeah, you need to see that challenge from early on next season. I think it'll be an interesting summer. I won't be surprised if Chloe Kelly is wrapped up, done and dusted, and an Arsenal player. I think she should be. I thought that was an incredible move in the end. It worked out so perfectly well for her.
She made it clear at the parade as well. Like, how she was talking, we were all like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, there was a feeling like, yeah, we've got Chloe Kelly now.
Yeah. Mariona Caldente, player of the season for Arsenal. Can she maintain next season? Maybe another little cheeky, big buy, and Chelsea might be quaking in their boots come next season. But then again, they did win a domestic treble. Listen, it just makes everything so much more appetising for next season. All ears about it. Can you win the league?
Yes. Yes, we can.
I'll come back to you. About a year from now.
Let's maybe cut that out just in case.
Arsenal fan and broadcaster Lucy Casey, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
It was nice to speak to you as ever. And finally, joining us in the studio today are Rachel Downey and Pauline Miller, who have launched the Unmuted podcast with the United Nations Foundation charity Girl Up to inspire the next generation of female leaders. Rachel, Pauline, when we've just had a minute here to catch up off air already, I'm like, I cannot wait for this podcast. Congratulations on getting everything moving. Can you tell us firstly how you did get that ball rolling?
Yeah, this is something that I've been wanting to create for a while. I've done work with UN Women over the years for their gender equality campaigns. I've also done a lot of work within motorsport and been very aware of how chauvinistic it is, and that there isn't a place really that I felt was safe for me as a female in that industry. It doesn't happen all the time, but for me, with my experience there. And so I thought I need a safe space for the younger generation coming through, somewhere where they can turn to, where they can hear powerful, bold, honest conversations. And that's what this podcast is. It's a safe space. Some of it will be inspiring, some of it will be tough, but all of it I feel will be important. And especially we've spoken about the state of the world at the moment. I think there does need to be a space, a platform for young people right now.
Absolutely. Pauline, you must be... How did you two kind of come together?
Absolutely. So I'm Chair of Trustees for Girl Up UK, which is the affiliated organisation to Girl Up, which is headquartered in the US. We were founded by the United Nations Foundation. And last year we created a charity in the UK so that we can really advance the work of Girl Up here in the UK. So wanting to empower youth, encourage them to have that voice, to find their leadership skills, and to help them change their local communities. So the topics that are important to them, we want to give them the tools and the skills to be able to have those conversations and to drive change in their local communities.
And this is kind of in all areas. So any girl, any woman from any background, any environment, it's not just sports focused, it's advice for kind of all walks of life.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, we want to interview and talk to activists. We want to talk about fertility, women's health, which again is my waters broke when I was pregnant at 24 weeks.
Wow.
And I wish I had more knowledge of being in that situation, of how to deal with certain things and certain medical situations. And that was another reason I was like, if I had known when I was younger maybe, or been educated a little bit better within that field. And that's what we want to do. We want to kind of connect, inspire, and knowledge is power. And I look back when I was younger and I knew nothing about nothing.
Yeah, and I thought I knew everything back then. Do you know what I mean? And then that's the thing, experience and speaking to other people is how you learn, how you grow. And it's already fascinating to know the insight, because we were just talking about your situation.
Yeah.
Can you please tell us about the birth of your first child? Because, I mean, when you said my son is 32, I was like, in what world?
She looks great.
What are you having? You know?
Indeed.
You had a very young pregnancy.
I had a very young pregnancy. I got pregnant before my 16th birthday, and I had my son, and I was back at school in 6 weeks. And without the help of my parents and my mother, who's amazing, but at the same time, I'm now a mum and responsible for a young person. And it's really tough to work out, what do you do? I mean, I stopped learning things like put makeup on and, little things that maybe younger girls and, and teenagers will do, because I've now got a little body to look after. So I had my son, I had my daughter in my second year of university. Maybe I shouldn't do education. But
just like to keep yourself busy, don't you, Pauline?
I like to keep busy. But one of the things that's been really empowering for me is when I went out to Ethiopia with Girl Up to meet some of the girls that are in Girl Up clubs out there. And a number of them were refugees. They were in refugee camps. And it was just amazing to see what they were interested in. And it's the same topics, the same challenges that Rachel's just talked about, wanting to know, how do we get... how can we talk about menstrual issues? How can we talk about sport? We want equality in sport. We want equality in pay. We want to learn about science. So the young women there have exactly the same dreams as the young women here. And when I went out there in 2014, I found my voice and I learned to be able to say that I was a teenage mum. I wasn't able to say that before, but I could once I got there.
Why was it you felt that you weren't able to?
You feel a bit you make a joke of it. Oh, I was young, but you never quite say how old you were. You never quite say, I was 15. You will simply brush it aside because of what society tells you about teenage mums. And that's not the case for me. It's just something that happened. And I love my children. They're doing amazingly well. And I just sit back and think, isn't that funny that society can make that judgment on you? And when I go out and meet in my day job with senior people, none of them are looking at me thinking, oh, wow, she was a teenage mum that doesn't have any ambition. I absolutely do. Yeah. And you want to be able to inspire and encourage girls and young women. And actually, Girl Up UK is youth-led. We're open to all genders. But of course, our mission is around gender justice.
Yeah. And talk about mental health will be so important. I think, again, the younger generation, there's such a rise in mental health issues at the moment. I do a lot with eating disorder campaigns, and you meet a lot of the young people there, and they need somewhere to be able to talk, to be able to express themselves, to realise that they're all connected, that they're not the only ones going through this. And I think that's just so important. And when you were going through the same things.
Absolutely. I mean, if I look across I was sitting on the floor of a refugees camp and saw a lady that was the same age as me, and she had lots of children. We had the same hope that our children do well, that they are healthy, that they're happy, that they can use education to advance. And so when I left Ethiopia, I made a commitment to myself that I would never be ashamed, embarrassed, or shun away on the truth, that I would always be able to speak up, not just for me, but for the mother that I sat in her home in Ethiopia. So I think it's really impacted my life over the last 10 years to be able to talk about this and to think about how I can help and support young women and girls and young people, both here and across the world.
Yeah, it's the way you talk to me about it, I actually feel that, like you say, society teaches us or makes us feel this way about people who might have children at a younger age, like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, look how you've done from it, look how you grow, look how you should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you.
And then also at the same time, it's like, well, why were we told otherwise?
Yeah.
And
who is it that tells us that? Who's made us feel like that?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Quite incredible. I love it. I absolutely love it. And like you say, sitting talking to other people who you can look at they'll look at you and they'll need all of your advice, you know, all of that, you know, all of that knowledge. And as you say, knowledge is power. Yeah. Rachel, in your situation as well, you've been through IVF. We've just met your little daughter, Rose, who you bring to work with you, which is just, again, it's this ever-changing environment. Society is changing. Yeah. Women in the workplace with babies is badass. I want those women where I work.
Yeah.
They get it.
And that's the thing. It's not all like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? Do I go back to work or not? Can I bring a baby? Can I? And it is so much more acceptable now. And one thing we were saying with IVF is to talk about fertility. If I'd known kind of how good my eggs would have been when I was a lot younger, then again, with that knowledge, I probably would have frozen my eggs. And we will have those discussions on the podcast to talk about fertility, talk about women's health, which again is so important and often neglected. I think we do get the brunt of it as women sometimes.
Absolutely. And for some of the girls that have been youth activists within Girl Up UK, I've seen them launch amazing campaigns, whether that's around period products or whether that's around menstrual knowledge and understanding. They are taking those topics that they think are really important. And one of the things that we really hope to do this year is to, with Unmuted, and to really grow that population and the community. So it's not just in London or in, you know, in big major hubs, but we can reach girls everywhere, up and down the UK. And I think that's really important. And of course, it's a podcast, so even further and beyond.
Well, this is it. Wherever you get your podcasts, am I right? I mean, we can get this anywhere. It's available now.
Yes, the first interview's done, dusted, and it's about to be out there. So, yeah, we're ready.
Good for you. Listen, I cannot wait to sink my teeth into this one. I already know it's like right up my Straza, and it sounds like anything goes in this podcast. Like really, all conversations are there to be had.
100%. Yes. Yeah, I mean, like we say, we want it powerful, honest, real. We want to, it's all important, and we want to touch so many people and connect, and the word inspire is always used, but we do want to inspire people. And if you're going through something, you want to feel like you've got a platform where you can listen to like-minded people and that you're not the only one going through it.
Yeah. Can I ask you, both of you actually, but Pauline, start with you first then, if you could give one bit of advice to a youngster watching this, what would it be?
I would say that you're good enough. You are absolutely good enough. You can absolutely deliver and do whatever it is that you want to do. Not to be afraid to ask for help, but you are absolutely good enough.
Perfect.
Probably a bit similar to Pauline, but just go for it. I think we're all making it up as we go along. We're all blagging it as we go along. So just go for it. Don't let yourself hold you back, and you'll get there. You'll do it.
Brilliant.
You can see why we've done this together.
Yeah, actually, we're all blagging it.
Can I come along and play? Pauline, Rachel, thank you so much for coming in. Unmuted, wherever you get your podcasts, is available now. Like we say, some interesting conversations to be had with the ladies. You can catch up with it now. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you as ever for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, get in the comments, be kind, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.